Tianming Sect Ice Valley. If you can't catch it, it's your turn. With Xiao Yan destroying the Wind and Thunder Pavilion, the Han family was rescued. His next targets are the Heavenly Nether Sect and the Ice River Valley. Soon Xiao Yan and Yao Lao then stormed the headquarters of the Heavenly Nether Sect. Without the Heavenly Demon, the Heavenly Nether Sect is no match for a single opponent. The Heavenly Nether Sect Master, at the peak of the Dou Sheng realm, he was even casually killed by Xiao Yan. At the same time, in the battle circle of the Glacier Valley, Ice Venerable was also under siege by the Starfall Pavilion experts. He was beaten so badly that he couldn't fight back. Back then, when he first appeared, his peak strength as a 5-star Dou Sheng made him incredibly imposing. However, it's completely inadequate now. Soon he was no match for him. His Glacier Valley perished along with it. Unconsciously, the Starfall Pavilion's revenge finally came to a complete end 10 days later. At least 20 rival sects were wiped out. During this period, the Soul Palace remained quite calm and did not send any powerful figures to reinforce them. In response, Xiao Yan remained vigilant. After the revenge was completed, he immediately sent someone to deliver the alliance letter to the Flower Sect and the Burning Flame Valley. After all, to fight against the Soul Palace, if we do not ally with other forces relying solely on the Starfall Pavilion, is far from enough. Now in the Flower Sect Hall, the two Supreme Elders were in the first place. Yun sat to one side. Although Yun is the sect leader of the Flower Sect, but an alliance with the Starfall Pavilion is such a major event. However, it requires the approval of the two Supreme Elders. After a long silence, everyone had different opinions about the alliance. The Starfall Pavilion is now vastly different from what it used to be. Especially Xiao Yan, after he broke through to the Dou Sheng level, the Starfall Pavilion's strength has already surpassed that of the Flower Sect. Although a powerful alliance would bring many benefits to the Flower Sect, but this inevitably puts them on the opposite side of the Soul Palace. In response, Yun naturally wanted to help Xiao Yan. Therefore, she proposed joining the alliance. Words for the yellow-robed elder addressed this issue. He tossed it to the most senior woman standing to the side. This matter, let the eldest sister make the decision. Upon hearing this, the first woman, who had seemed rather aloof, finally spoke. Alliance, dealing with the Soul Palace. Words for the woman in yellow gave a bitter smile. I knew you would make this choice. Back then, for Yao Chen, you even dare to talk back to your master. But you also know. That old guy was concerned about these things. I don't care at all. He waved his hand helplessly. The woman in yellow had no choice but to send someone to reply to the Starfall Pavilion. Willing to form an alliance at the same time deep in the Burning Flame Valley, after the Patriarch of Burning Flame Valley finished reading the scroll from Starfall Pavilion, he also has an exceptionally fiery temper. Dealing with the Soul Palace. Those inhuman, ghostly things are disgusting, but who would want to go against them for no reason? Seeing the Patriarch get angry, Tang Hua quickly stepped forward to massage the old ancestor's back. The comfort coming from my back, this caused the old ancestor's expression to soften. Fire is still the best. By the way, Xiao Yan reached the level of a 1-star Dou Sheng at a young age. If you're decent looking, so he married Hua. I then agree to the alliance. Words fall. Tang Hua's pretty face immediately turned crimson. Old man, if you keep talking nonsense, be careful, or you'll be left without anyone to see you off in your old age. Seeing this, Tang Jun coughed lightly. Fire, no unreasonable behavior allowed. I heard. Tang Hua rolled her eyes. I'm too lazy to bother with this old guy anymore. A moment later, Tang Jun laughed. Ancestor, in addition, Xiao Yang said. Whether we agree or not, the alliance, he will step in to help you resolve any hidden health issues within your body. Upon hearing this, the old ancestor's lips stiffened. He then said calmly, this kid is not bad. Let's form an alliance then. He hasn't appeared in public for so many years. I wonder if anyone on this continent still remembers the name of my fire cloud ancestor. Unconsciously in the main hall of the Starfall Pavilion, hearing the report that the Flower Sect and the Burning Flame Valley were willing to form an alliance, Xiao Yan and Yao Lao both breathed a sigh of relief. At the moment, the hardest part was getting the Dantar to join the group. After all, Dantar has always maintained neutrality. Even though they hated the Soul Hall to the core, but given the arrogance and pedantry of those alchemists, the league remains quite difficult. Therefore so Yao Lao and Xiao Yan decided to make the trip themselves. Meanwhile, the Starfall Pavilion was guarded by the rainbow-scale little fairy doctor and others. A decision has been made. Neither the master nor the apprentice hesitated. They immediately flew to Dantar. Unconsciously returning to St. Dan's City, Xiao Yan was filled with emotion. It was 5 or 6 years ago when I won the Dan Cup here. That moment was also when he truly became famous in Zhongzhou. Soon the two arrived at the Dan Tower Hall. An elder told them to wait a moment. He went to report first. Upon hearing this, the old doctor picked up his teacup. I took a small sip. These 3 old guys, they've got quite the airs now. Words fall. Xiao Yang smiled. He understood that the teacher had a good relationship with the 3 leaders. After all, Elder Yao was a remarkably outstanding disciple of the Pill Tower in his youth. The big 3 at that time also performed remarkably well. Over time, they became acquainted. The silence lasted for a moment. Xian Kengzi's loud laughter echoed through the hall. Ha ha, old man medicine, I never thought I'd get to see you, old man, in my lifetime. Behind Xian Kengzi, Tian Lazy and Xian Yi followed closely behind. The big 3 appeared. The old doctor also greeted him with a smile. Haven't seen you for a long time. How have you been? Words for the old apothecary's gaze then turned to the man in black robes beside him. You are still so radiant after all these years. You don't look like us old folks at all. Hearing what the old doctor said, Xian Yi's cheeks flushed slightly. This girlish demeanor made Xiao Yang secretly click his tongue in amazement. This former jewel of Dantar, there is still a lot of affection for Yao Lao today. The format it led to quite a bit of laughter and conversation. This left Xiao Yang quite helpless. He could only stand aside as a foil. When discussing the disappearance back, then the old doctor let out a long sigh. He had a vague feeling that he was being targeted by the Soul Palace. However, the old apothecary was overconfident at that time. With his peak Dou Sheng strength, even if the Soul Palace mobilized a celestial venerable, it would be difficult to subdue him. And that is indeed the case. If Soul Palace wants to defeat Yao Chen head-on, the cost will be quite high. Therefore, they had no choice but to secretly collude with Han Feng. This was truly beyond the old doctor's expectations. After all, the old doctor treated Han Feng like his own son. I never imagined he would betray me. Fortunately, heaven had mercy. This led to Yao Lao later meeting Xiao Yang. Mentioning this, everyone finally looked at Xiao Yang standing to the side. I sensed the latter's aura. All 3 were visibly shocked. Xian Kengzi entered the realm of half-saint a year ago. But in front of Xiao Yang, a 1-star Dou Sheng, he felt as if he were facing an endless ocean. Not only that, even compared to alchemy, even if Yao Lao were to make a move, he probably wouldn't be a match for Xiao Yang. Seeing Xiao Yang's current changes, Xian Kengzi couldn't help but laugh. Hey old man medicine, if something really happened to you back then, I'd love to snatch him away from me. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile bitterly. The jokes didn't last long. The old doctor also began to talk about serious matters. That is, to get Dantar to join the Starfall Pavilion alliance. Only in this way can we truly confront the behemoth that is the Soul Palace. Upon hearing this, Xian Kengzi and the other two frowned. In recent years, the Soul Palace has been extensively capturing the souls of alchemists. The three of them had long harbored deep resentment towards this. But Dantar has those old fogies. The alliance issue is indeed quite tricky. Words for the old doctor said in a solemn tone, even if it's troublesome, I have to give it a try. I was once captured and imprisoned in the Soul Palace, knowing that they capture souls. A huge conspiracy is definitely brewing. If they don't join forces, I suppose everyone will find themselves caught in its clutches. Words fall, her dark-clad brows furrowed slightly. If the ancestor were here. This is much easier. His word alone is the final decision. I heard the old doctor was taken aback. How that old man has disappeared again. Xian Kengzi and the other two nodded. Well, long gone if the soul jade slip hadn't remained intact. We all thought something bad had happened to him. Hearing these profound words, Xiao Yan was completely confused. He had never heard the old doctor say that. There is also an ancestor within this pill tower. Then, according to Xian Kengzi, the old ancestor of the pill tower was one of the founders of the pill tower. He is not human. Instead, it was a mutated 9th grade Xian Dan. Actually, the ancestor of the pill tower was created by another founder of the pill tower. In the year before that person was about to fall, he exhausted all his energy and infused it with a wisp of his own consciousness to refine it. Later, this 9th grade Xian Dan transformed into human form and saved the pill tower multiple times. Therefore, his status in Dantar was unparalleled. Thus, he became the current ancestor of the Dan Tower. But he wasn't interested in any of these things. Instead, I prefer to travel the world. The ancestor's favorite thing was to find pregnant women who had lost their babies. Then it enters the pregnant woman's body in a special way. Last born as an infant, grow up to experience life repeatedly. I heard Xiao Yang's scalp suddenly exploded. This ancestor wasn't human. You should know that the 9 ranks are divided into 3 levels. They are respectively grade 9 precious pills, 9th grade profound pill, and 9th grade golden pill. Most of the 9th grade pills that appear in the world today are 9th grade precious pills. Xian Dan is almost impossible to find. As for the 9th grade golden elixir, it probably only existed in ancient times. After the golden core comes the legendary imperial core. According to Xiao Yang's speculation, since this pill tower ancestor is a mutated 9th rank profound core, then his strength must be extremely powerful. They've probably all reached the level of a 5 or 6-star Dou Sheng. At the moment, the ancestor is not here. The matter of the alliance can only be decided through a vote by the Grand Elder Council of the Lesser Dantar. Soon under the arrangement of the 3 giants, Little Dantar also held a vote. 5 elders, including the 3 leaders, voted in favor. The other 5 elders voted against it. In this way the votes were tied. Dantar still couldn't make a final decision. And there's also bad news. That is, 3 days later the Grand Elder Council is selecting a new elder. The new elders will then have 1 vote. Among those selected was Hu Laoge, who disliked Yao Lao. If he is elected, that alliance is definitely doomed. Words fall, the expressions on their faces all darkened. Because Yao Lao had voluntarily withdrawn from the Little Pill Tower, therefore, even the old doctor is no longer eligible to participate in the selection. A moment later Xian Yi gave a strange smile. The old medicine doctor is not qualified, but Xiao Yang has it. After all, he is the champion of the Dan competition. He is also a candidate for the Dantar Giants. This identity is perfectly acceptable for participation. However, be careful. Old monster, who can probably now refine an 8th grade pill with 9-colored pill lightning. Therefore if Xiao Yan wanted to win against him, it is necessary to refine a 9th grade elixir. I heard Xiao Yan gently rubbed his palms together. My strength has greatly increased now, you could give it a try. Unconsciously 3 days passed quickly. The master and his 2 disciples, along with the 3 giants, all arrived at Dantar mountain. Today is the day for selecting new elders. Soon the weasel-faced, sharp-mouthed old monster, who also slowly approached. Medicine dust, you left Dantar back, then I thought you'd have the guts to never come back. But it's all right. So many years. I would also like to test your alchemy skills. I heard the old doctor smiled. This is not my election campaign. If you insist on challenging me to a duel, then you should defeat my disciple first. He also happens to be running for office. Upon hearing this, Hu Laoge glanced at Xiao Yan beside him. A hint of disdain flashed across his face. Is this little kid even qualified to run for office? Medicine dust, this isn't the way you should try to get in through the back door. The sound fell. Xian Kengzi said in a deep voice, Hu Laoge Xiao Yang is the champion of this year's pill gathering. How could you not be qualified? Heard Dan Club champion, Hu Laoge's face turned pale. Back then, he lost the alchemy tournament championship to Yao Chen by a hair's breadth. This matter has always been a source of anxiety for him. Snort, it seems that this year's Danish conference. Poor quality, words for Xian, you retorted. This Dan conference Xiao Yang has refined the 5-colored pill lightning. Compared to your year, the competition is becoming more intense. The arguments were refuted one by one. Hu Laoge was somewhat embarrassed. He angrily flung his sleeves and said, 5-colored thunder, this is nothing special. Since Yao Chen didn't make a move, then your disciple, now that I'm old, you should discipline me. Having said that, Hu Laoge let out a cold snort and turned to leave. This video will end here.